At the beginning, a girl, blushing, greeted Osamu-kun with a soft hey. The boy was stunned, thinking that on that day, he had accidentally found out her secret. The girl, still blushing, told him she had been keeping a secret for a long time. Papers were flying around the room, money scattered across the floor. An hour earlier, at school, the bell had rung. Someone had called out to Uchida, Osamu Uchida, who was sitting at his desk holding a book. 3 girls approached, and one of them asked if it was true that Kusune-chan and he were childhood friends. He put his book into his bag and replied that they were not. The girl seemed surprised and reminded him that the teacher had handed the notes to him and asked him to deliver them to the absent Sotoyama-san. Uchida explained that they simply lived close to each other and were not actually childhood friends. The girl, sounding disappointed, told the boys nearby that they could relax. Those boys, who had been panicking moments earlier, appeared relieved. Uchida then stood up, remarking that Kusune-san was popular after all. As he walked home, he thought to himself that Kusune Sotoyama was just a neighbor. Although they had played together when they were little, they had drifted apart after entering elementary school. That was why the rumors weren't true. They didn't have that kind of relationship. Arriving in front of a house with the nameplate Sotoyama, he muttered Kusune's name. Taking out his phone, he typed a message. "I got you the printouts from school," and send. Almost immediately she replied with thanks and said she was coming right away. While searching his bag for something, Uchida suddenly heard a loud slam and clack. He froze, and then there was silence. Wondering what had caused such a huge noise, he walked to the first door of the house and rang the bell, calling out for Kusune-san. She didn't answer. The door wouldn't open either. Feeling uneasy, he remembered something from the old days. There should be a spare key under the flower pot. Sure enough, he found it, unlocked the door, and hurried inside. Running to her room, he opened the door and was stunned. The room was a mess, with R18 books scattered among the clutter. Someone was lying under a blanket. Then, a faint voice pleaded for help, and a hand reached out. Uchida dropped his bag and rushed over, saying he would help immediately. He grabbed the blanket, thinking it was heavier than expected, but determined to save her. As he pulled harder, the blanket tore apart, releasing a flurry of banknotes into the air. That moment brought them back to the present, both standing amidst flying money. Uchida asked, bewildered, what all the money was about. Blushing, Kusune sighed and said she could no longer hide it. She admitted, with a proud expression, that her hobby was drawing hentai. Uchida, shocked, responded with a confused, "Eh?" She explained that although it was embarrassing to say, it couldn't be helped if he had already seen it. Suddenly, the television switched on, playing hentai. Uchida apologized, clarifying that he didn't want to know about her hobby right now. He wanted an explanation for the money. Smiling, she thanked him for not finding her hobby disturbing. He replied firmly that the disturbing thing was the huge amount of cash on the floor, most of it in 1,000 yen bills, which must amount to an astronomical sum. Kusune walked to the window, opened it to let the wind in, and explained that she worked under a pen name because she was embarrassed. She was actually quite popular, even considered a leading figure in her circle, and her doujinshi always sold out. Uchida tried to interrupt, saying he wasn't talking about her manga, but then he suddenly recalled a news report about tax evasion. Shocked, he asked if she was properly declaring her earnings to the tax office. With the breeze blowing the sheer curtain across her face, Kusune ignored the question, remarking on how beautiful the sky looked. Uchida's expression grew tense as he asked if she was evading taxes. She closed the window, turned to him, and asked if he could keep this a secret. He insisted that she needed to report it properly to the tax office, otherwise it was a crime. She tilted her head, asking what the tax office was, and clarified that the secret she wanted him to keep was about her drawing hentai. She argued that it would be bad if others found out, especially since she had been absent from school because of a manuscript deadline. She admitted with mock guilt that she had lied to get days off, calling herself a naughty girl. Uchida replied that if she could still feel guilty about skipping school, they should hurry and file an amended tax return. She ignored that, instead asking him to keep her naughty girl side a secret between them. He told her the secret was too heavy for him. Tears welled up in her eyes as she said that if people at school found out that a talented and beautiful honor student like her had such a hobby, they would be tempted to spread the word. He urged her not to go off topic, reminding her that tax evasion had to be reported to the proper authorities. She continued crying, saying she might have to drop out of school if that happened, and hinted that everyone would be upset with him if she left school because of his actions. She leaned closer, wondering aloud whether he might get bullied, given her popularity. Startled, Uchida asked if she was threatening him. She smiled, saying she was merely asking, and reminded him that he had always listened to her requests when they were children. He thought back to how she used to take the bigger portions of food and hog the blanket, leaving him without. She grabbed his collar, dragged him out of the room, and said she had to work on her manuscript, so it was time for him to go home. He protested that he wasn't done talking, but she teased him about staying at a girl's house and threatened to call someone. He replied that she would be in much bigger trouble if she did. Outside her door, Uchida said he would go home for now, but would be back. She waved goodbye and closed the door. Climbing the stairs slowly, still trembling, Kusune entered her room, leaned against the door, and sat down, blushing furiously. She told herself she had managed to cover it up. She reasoned that if she made a blatant show of evading taxes, Uchida would be less concerned about her hentai drawings. Meanwhile, Uchida thought about her. Someone described her in his mind, Kusune Sotoyama, a bashful 17-year-old girl and a firm believer in cash supremacy. Despite appearances, she did pay her taxes. Kusune went to her desk, rested her head on it, and muttered that she had pretty much skirted around the whole manga incident. She thought to herself that she had really dodged a bullet there and wondered if Osamu-kun would truly keep it a secret. Placing her hand on the desk, she suddenly stood up, slamming it, and decided aloud that she should talk to him again to make things clear. She walked to a wardrobe, opened it, and money came flying out. Standing before it, she declared that she needed to make sure he kept his mouth shut with the power of money. Her eyes glowed with money signs. The scene shifted to Uchida's house. Uchida was thinking about the day after he had discovered Kusune's secret, when she appeared at his front door in a beautiful dress, blushing, and asked if he had time to go on a date with her. He stood there brushing his teeth, holding the door, thinking that she was already making her move. Out loud, he said he would go with her if it was a date at the IRS. Kusune smiled happily. Uchida told her he had already thought out a proper plan for their date, then asked if they weren't going to the tax office after all. She explained that she had been so pumped about the date that she finished the manuscript in one night. He remarked that she must have been driven by something urgent. Uchida thought privately that it would be a good chance to talk, then agreed to go and get ready. He suddenly noticed something and exclaimed in surprise her bag was full of money, with bills peeking out. Kusune told him she would wait for him. Still stunned, he asked her just to confirm where they were going on the date. She winked and said they were going shopping. The scene shifted again, showing them walking on the street. Kusune was ahead, smiling, while Uchida followed behind, thinking he didn't know what the deal was, but that he would have to stop her. She turned back, blushing and fidgeting, saying it had been a long time since they had gone out together like this, and wondered what their classmates would think if they saw them. Uchida replied that they would probably be seen as accomplices and held responsible later. She agreed, saying it was a big responsibility and that she would be counting on him to choose accessories that suited her. Confused, Uchida asked if accessories was some kind of code. Kusune said that accessories just meant accessories. She simply wanted something cute and fashionable. He pointed out that her budget seemed a little too high, but she laughed, saying it was a reward for finishing her manuscript. Uchida thought that made sense if they were talking about high-end accessories. He stopped in front of one shop, thinking it might work, but she passed it. He tried again with another shop, then another, but she kept walking. Finally, he asked her which store they were going to. She suddenly pointed ahead with a bright face, exclaiming that they had arrived. They stood in front of a worn-out antique shop, with broken vases and dolls in the window. Uchida was shocked and asked if the store was even legal. Kusune assured him it was a licensed antique dealer, though compliance was a bit lax since it was old-fashioned, adding that it had a nice Showa retro vibe. Uchida replied that Showa-era compliance was a big problem. Inside, they saw antiques and an old man sleeping at the counter. Uchida, initially uneasy, began to think it was just a normal old shop. Kusune called him over excitedly, asking which one he thought was good. When he joined her, he saw shiny watches, gold chains, rings, and other valuables, and was stunned. Kusune pointed to a kihei chain, asking what he thought. Uchida said that kind was usually worn by scary guys downtown. She explained it had high purity and was less bulky than cash. He asked if she was trying to conceal assets and what happened to being cute and fashionable. Surprised, Kusune gloomily suggested maybe the necklace didn't suit her. Uchida agreed that it didn't and shouldn't. She remarked that it was more expensive than plain gold of the same weight due to design and processing costs. Uchida commented that their conversation had gone in a strange direction. Kusune then suggested gold teeth, smiling as she said they weren't worth anything as teeth anymore and could probably be bought for the price of the raw metal. Uchida reminded her they were supposed to be buying accessories. She argued they could be worn as pendants, and Uchida called that avant-garde. Kusune clapped happily, proposing they get matching ones as a keepsake for their date. She pointed out there was another gold tooth that would match both being human teeth. Uchida said an incisor and molar didn't really match, and he didn't see the romance in it. Kusune mused that maybe a gold tooth was too light and suggested something heavier, like a gold bar. Uchida replied they weren't even talking about weight. She then called him over to look at something else. Uchida, suspicious, asked if she was trying to bribe him. Kusune seemed surprised, then smiled and stepped close, touching his chest, claiming she simply wanted to give her dear childhood friend a present. Uchida thought that accepting anything after such an obvious hint at tax evasion would make him an accomplice. Kusune, feigning hurt, pushed him and said his words made her sad. He warned her to watch out, but she asked again if he really wouldn't accept it. He lost his balance, fell, and ended up with Kusune on top of him. She loomed over him with a scary face, money spilling from her bag, repeating that she would buy him. Uchida thought the pressure was immense but still told her he couldn't accept it. Shocked, Kusune was pushed aside as they both stood. Uchida assured her he wouldn't tell anyone and that she didn't need to buy him anything because he believed in her. He thought about her all night before and told her she had changed since elementary school from a selfish child to an elite model student. Blushing, Kusune asked if she had really been like that. He said her transformation was incredible and that she now knew how to balance her personality with society's expectations. Extending his hand, he told her he had faith in her and knew she would handle the situation before it became serious. Kusune, blushing deeply, gripped his hand. That evening, as they walked down the street, Kusune asked if she had really had a terrible personality when she was little. Uchida admitted that was probably the case, but added that she always seemed like she was having fun, which made him happy too. Kusune was stunned, then smiled. She reached into her pocket, pulled something out, and handed it to him, saying it was a small token of appreciation for hanging out with her. Uchida refused, saying he couldn't accept anything that seemed like a bribe. Kusune laughed, telling him not to hold back. When he looked, he saw it was a cat charm inscribed with drawing wealth, becoming fortune, and getting luck. He thought about the words as Kusune turned, laughing, and asked if he had had fun and if she had made his heart pound. Uchida admitted it was fun and that his heart had pounded in many ways. She teased him, asking what he meant, but he told her she definitely knew. They continued walking together.
By the way, if you enjoyed the video, maybe consider liking and subscribing, pretty please?